to today's training. Nice to have you here. I'm looking on the participant list at the moment and suggest to wait for another 2 or 3 minutes until the number of participants increases. Hello, good morning, everybody.
Hello, good morning.
Good. Good. So having the time in mind, I suggest to start. Welcome to the training on how to write a successful research proposal. My name is Karina Schachinger. Please call me Karina. I am an EU funding expert at Business Upper Austria, an Austrian business agency, and your trainer today. The whole workshop is part of the EU project DIGI-B-CUBE, where 8 partners across Europe work together for more than 2 years now, supporting SMEs with bringing forward their digital health innovations. So we had a phase where we awarded very innovative project ideas for grant funding. This phase is over now, and in the last year of the project, we currently provide coaching to interested SMEs on topics that are somehow linked to innovation projects. We had a webinar on intellectual property rights, for example, last week, and another one in October. And today it's about proposal writing. So let's have a quick look on what I have planned for the next 1.5 hours. So we will directly dip into the application process in Horizon Europe, the new research and innovation program of the European Union, which started this year. We will discover the EU portal where you can find all the calls, where you can download the proposal template and also submit your finished application. And then we will have a closer look on this template, so on the chapters, and I will give you some best practice, some practical hints how you can present your project in this given structure of the proposal template, and how you can make the evaluators buy your idea if you want. The sources of this training content today is a practical one, so it's twofold. On the one hand, it comes from consultants who accompany innovation projects in the application phase for years now. And on the other hand, the sources are evaluators themselves. So we had a lot of them in our networks, and every now and then they give us some insights and let us know how they judge proposals, what they like, what they don't like, and how they score them afterwards, which is very valuable to know when you develop a proposal. Yes, then we will have a quick exercise where you can try out yourself a little bit on what's good and bad wording, if you know, in the proposal. And in the end, I provide you some upcoming events you might be interested and some further contacts for additional support. Yeah, some rules for the workshop. So be sure that the concept board we are working in today will be available for you after the webinar. So with all the hidden links for you to be able to get further information. And please, if you want, put on your camera. It's always nice to see each other. And put off your microphone when you don't speak in order to avoid background noise. And I would ask you to put your questions in the chat, and either me or Susanna, my co-host, will then grab your questions and put them on the table. Good. So if there are no issues at the moment, I would say that we start with a structure I'm pretty sure you have already seen before. Horizon Europe. It is structured in three pillars. Pillar 1 is the one dedicated to researchers. Pillar 3 is the one for very innovative SMEs with a huge growth potential. And Pillar 2 is the one we will focus on today, because this is the only pillar where the EU I would say identified challenges and is looking for projects who can contribute to solve these challenges. And this search for projects are the calls. So this is a top-down pillar where you cannot bottom-up submit projects with every topic, but where your research interest really has to fit to the calls that are open at the moment. Yeah, maybe some note here regarding Horizon Europe. There are not only international research funding programs, there are also national and regional one, and often it's not that easy to find out which program is the right one for your project idea. And if you are thinking of applying in Horizon Europe for a funding, you should ask yourself a few questions in advance in order to make sure that it's really a match and that your idea does not belong better to a national or a regional funding program. And one of these questions is your idea innovative enough? So the Horizon Europe evaluators are really looking for projects with a high degree of novelty that are breaking through and that have also this European dimension, I would say. So that it's interested for the whole European market, and that you address not only national stakeholders, for example, so that you really have this international approach. And another thing that often comes up during the application phase, during the evaluation of the proposal, is that some companies then realize that they don't have the time for Horizon Europe funding, because you make sure that your project is a strategic one. Because when in the moment when you detect a call that fits to your project idea, I would say you need 4 months for elaborating a proposal, especially when it's a cooperative call where you have partners and where you have to distribute all the tasks in order to develop a common application. And often there is not time, and that 4 months of application, then you have the deadline, then it takes about 5 months until you get the evaluation results back. And if you get the go, which would be great, then the European Union also has another 3 months to sign the grant agreement with you. So I would say that about a year it takes from the detection of a call until your project can start and until you really can start developing. And if it's a strategic project, it's great because you have very interesting funding rates of 70 to 100%. But this doesn't make sense if you don't have the time because it's urgent, for example. So this is another thing you have to make sure that you have this more or less 1 year from now on, that you can wait with your project start. Yes, but if you can answer all that questions with yes, then Horizon Europe might be your program. And then it's about to find a call where your project idea fits into and where you can apply for. And there, it's great that you have one platform where you can do all the communication with the European Union. So there's the a platform called Funding and Tender Opportunities, and there you find all the calls. There you can download the proposal template, and there you also submit the finished application. So this is the hub you are into if it's about applying for Horizon Europe funding. And now we have a quick look directly on this EU portal, and I will demonstrate how you can find calls that might suit to your project idea. So if you, I hope you see it, the web page, and then you can click here, search funding and tenders, and on the left appears this search mask. And then you can select, are you interested in forthcoming calls that are not open at the moment but will open soon? Are you interested in already open calls or also in ones that are closed, just to have a short look on what's the European Union interested in? I would say that we are only interested in open calls. Here you can select that you're interested in the current funding period. You want to see the calls in Horizon Europe. And here you can select one of the sections in the different pillars. So here we have pillar 1, excellent science. Here we have pillar 3, and in the middle, the thematic clusters of pillar 2. And now I select health because we're interested in health calls that are at the moment open. And on the right appear 26 Horizon Europe health calls you can currently apply for. And when we now look into one of the calls, you have here the basic information, call title. Is it single stage or is it two-stage? Single stage means you have one opening date and one deadline where all the proposals get evaluated now. And there is also a two-stage model where you have to elaborate at first a short proposal with 10 pages. And if you get green light, then you have to make a bigger effort and elaborate the full proposal with 30 or 45 pages, depending a little bit on the call. But then I would say the effort is justified because in this second round of the second stage, only a smaller group of applicants is awarded. And so your success rate, of course, increases in the second stage. Yes, and then here you have the topic description, and it's always the same. So if you once looked through the structure of the portal, it's very easy to navigate. You have the expected outcome, which is the objective, the impact the European Union wants to gain from your project. And here you should absolutely make sure that you cover all the expected outcomes the European Union is asking for. So it's not enough to say, okay, the first one is what I can deliver, and the other things are not part of my project. If this is the case, then you need another partner who is able to cover the other expected outcomes in order to provide one comprehensive, complete project to the evaluators. And then you have a lot of more information, the topic conditions, so which countries are eligible in the call, and what about the evaluation process. And here, most important for us today, you can have a look on the proposal template. So to get an idea in advance before the work started, what you have to elaborate in order to apply for that funding. And this is what we are going to focus on today, the application template and how you can present your idea in this template so that you can convince the evaluators. So the proposal template in Horizon Europe always consists of two parts. Part A is the administrative part where you enter information directly on the platform, and if the information is complete, then web-based forms are created automatically, and this is then your part A. And if we scroll a little bit through this part A, you will see that this is the general information. So this is about how your project is called. You need to find a catchy acronym. Here you enter keywords your project is dealing with, and also an abstract, which is very important in my experience because this is your pitch. This is your very short, I would say, business card where you attract evaluators, but also other stakeholders, investors, potential partners in getting to know more about your project. This is often decided at the very beginning in the abstract. Then you have some declarations, as you always have when it's about public money. Information is correct, complete, and so on. This is just something to select. Participants, so here you have to list all the partners that will be part of your project and where they come from. And then you have here the blue box for every of this partner organization where you, for example, declare yourself as an SME so that you really have the status, for example, because some calls are exclusively only for SMEs, and this is here the place to show that you're eligible. Here you have the departments in the partner organizations who are responsible for project implementations. You give also some basic information, and here it's about the personnel. So really the ladies and the guys that will work in this project with their name and contract details. If you have researchers in your project, then you insert them here. So no project managers, no whatever software developers, only researchers. This is new in Horizon Europe, where the European Commission wants to somehow track single researchers, how often they are part in which projects. Also new is the role of the organizations in the project. So are they technology developers? Are they an education entity? Another list where you can provide publications, for example, software, anything that makes the evaluators convinced that you have the assets and the qualification to do the project because you already developed the software you can now connect to in the project, or that you did already previous projects in this field. You have significant infrastructure, for example, laboratories that are necessary to realize the project. So this is all here, the section where you can show what you have to implement the project. Another section here is the gender equality plan, also new. The budget, where you insert for every participant the budget, so how many personal costs and also other costs for purchasing goods and services in the project, or subcontracting when you want to include third parties in your project and give an order to develop this and that for the project. So all the organizations that are somehow involved in the project without being a direct partner. Security and ethics is more important now in Horizon Europe than it was in the previous program. So especially when it's about health and medical projects, you have to give here some information how you deal with ethically important topics, human cells, genetics, also data privacy, and the same for security, so that you declare that you, for example, won't misuse your project results in a way that you did not declare in the proposal. Other questions? And this was part A. So very administrative, as you saw, and all the general information they need. And now in the part B, this is our focus, our code today, the narrative part starts. So here it's really about texting, about wording, about describing your project, and about convincing the evaluators about the innovation potential. And now I would like to get back to the concept board, because I displayed this part B and the 3 chapters in part B in a more comprehensive way. So part B covers 3 chapters: excellence, impact, and implementation. Yeah, I will stop here for a moment. Susanna, you have your hand raised.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask you whether you would like to answer the questions from chat now or after your presentation.
Okay, I will have a look on the question. Yes. So the question is someone performing research in a company considered a researcher? Everyone who is dedicated to research, to these R&I tasks that are necessary in a project is a researcher per definition. And this does not only belong to research organizations or to universities. So it depends not on the organization, but on the tasks the person fulfills. But you can have a closer look on the part A on this table, because there it's very good explained and described which persons are seen as researchers. Good. Yes, thanks for the question. Then I get back to the part B overview in the proposal. So excellence, this is something for the researchers, because mostly researchers write this excellence part. They are the ones that know best about the concept, the scientific concept of the project, the method you are pursuing in your project, the objectives that you want to achieve in the project. So here it's everything about the excellence, about the science, about the research content of the project. Then impact, here it's about the effects your project will have in the real world. So the EU awards your project because you should make impact on economics, impact on society when it's about social effects, also impact on science if it's very groundbreaking what you achieve in your project, where other researchers can then dock on. So here it's about what is the sustainable and long-term effect of your project. And I think that everyone will agree when I say that this is a very, very important part of the project application, to show that you will have a huge impact with your project in the real world, because this is why you receive the funding. We will have a closer look on the impact part in a few minutes. And the third section is implementation. So here it's about your work plan, and that you show that you have the qualifications to realize this this project, that you have a good project structure, timing, schedule, and that you have the capacity to bring it on the ground. Important here is that for every of these 3 chapters in the part B, the evaluators have a certain criterion. So you can imagine that an evaluator has your proposal printed or digital, and go through it, read through it, and after every of these sections, they score you on that criterion. So in the end, you have 3 scorings for all the 3 chapters in your project application. Good. Then let's focus on excellence and on good practice. So on how you can show that your project is very excellent. One very important thing that always comes up when evaluators criticize projects and project applications is that the goals in the project don't fit to the work program, don't fit to the core topic text. So I showed you previously in the EU portal, the section of the call where you have this expected outcome, and the goals of your project have to fit 100% to these goals. I told you previously, it's not enough to have some goals covered. Your project needs to address every of the expected outcomes. And you need to highlight that your project is beyond state of the art. So it's very helpful to have a short text on what's the situation at the moment, what's the problem, and how your project can boost a solution and can really bring on this situation and enhance the situation, to face that you are not only improving a product or improving a process, but really make this big step forward with the project. And not only by covering one discipline of the project, but to have different stakeholders from different scientific fields in your project, to really show that you have a multiple perspective on the situation that covers different views. Yeah, then link to other innovation activities. This is a bit like the point before. You can describe the current situation, also that other projects, other innovation activities are ongoing. This underlines that your topic is of interest and of importance, that not only you are the ones that are developing here and are working on it, so that this is a huge issue for a broad target audience. And another thing is gender dimension. So very important and often reason for reduced scorings is that in the project, the gender dimension is not addressed at all. So even if you have a project where gender and sex is not important, then state it. State it that you thought of gender and that you came to the conclusion that in this project it's not of importance, or if yes, then decline why. And especially when it comes to health projects, medical projects, I cannot think of one project where gender is not necessary or not of interest at all. So this, as I said, is a topic that is treated in more detail now in Horizon Europe than it was previously, and so put effort here in describing the gender dimension of your project is my tip. Yeah, and then last but not least, tailored strategy on open science and data management. So also this is a prescribed section of the excellence part where you show how you want to deal with the data you generate. Will it be accessible? Do you want to make it publicly available? What's your management strategy with all that data you produce in a project? So we have here a question regarding gender. Are you referring to, for example, the gender of participants in a clinical trial or the gender of the participants to undergo the work under the personal? Both. So the gender dimension of the participants in the project, so the partners, this is something you have to state in the part A, where it's about the partner organizations, the departments, the main contacts. And here you state also the gender and how you treat this in your organization. For example, are there some female CEOs or managers? So this is everything administrative in the partner organizations. This is for part A. And here in part B, it's about the gender dimension of, as you say, for example, your patients, that you make sure that male and female persons, for example, are included in testing your medical device, as an example. So this is for part B when it's about the project implementation. And does it have to be explicitly stated, or can one assume from the name the gender? When we go back to part A, I just simply show you because then it's 100% clear. Here we switch to the proposal template once again. Participants, organization data, and here you have the main contact persons. And for example, here is the gender part. You select if it's a man or a woman. And in the organization and department description above, you can also state if you, for example, have some special strategy or some special approach in your organization that a certain percentage of for example, board members is female. So this is all something you can put in the part A. And the narrative part is then how you deal with gender in the project itself. Okay. Good. Then back to excellence. Here I highlighted that, of course, it's a bit tricky, to be honest, to, on the one hand, show that your approach, your project is very groundbreaking and is very innovative. And on the other side, you have to make sure that you're credible and that it's realistic what you want to achieve. So this is a certain balance you have to achieve in the excellence part to promise ambitious objectives and on the other hand, by giving facts and figures to show that you can really achieve it and that you are capable, and this is not something you are dreaming of, so that you in the project duration can really realize these objectives. So that this is some kind of balance you need to achieve in excellence. And when we go forward to impact, so now we switch from science to the effects of the project. And I think the most important message here in the impact is make sure that you have that red thread in your proposal. So from the objectives that are some kind of dedicated to the European goals you are addressing with your project, so these are the objectives. Then you have the work plan where you tell the evaluators how you want to realize this objective. So this is really about work packages, about tasks. Then the results you gain by working all these tasks in your work plan, and then to in the end show the impact. So this has to be a red thread, and very often you don't have this red thread. So very often you, for example, see proposals where in the excellence part you read a lot of goals that should be achieved in the project. And then in the implementation part, you don't see any tasks that are foreseen to achieve these goals. So there is no link. Or for example, when you have here the impact part and tell how you want to effect, for example, by addressing the target groups with this and that action, and then you don't have some tasks in the implementation part in the work plan to really realize it. So often it's simply not consistent. And this is the main message, not only from me, also from very many evaluators, that what you tell in one section needs also to be found in the other section, so that you have this consistency and this link through the chapters. And especially important in the impact, because in the impact you, for example, show the target groups of your project. So who is benefiting from your project? And often there are more target groups than you think of at first sight. So really think of economic impacts, but also on social impacts, for example, on environmental impacts. There is often more than dedicated on the first glance what you can have on effects at your project. And another thing I already stated is be as concrete as possible. So really insert facts, insert figures, not only estimations, but tell them how big the reduction of production time will be when some companies apply your product, for example. So really it's about percentages, it's about the numbers, and even if they are not very clear, it's better than just qualitative information, to put some quantitative data in there in the impact, so that the evaluators can get an idea of the enhancement you want to achieve and the impact you want to bring on the ground with your project. And one last section in impact is some barriers. So as I said, if your project isn't innovative, isn't novel, then it's not right for Horizon Europe. But if it's innovative and novel, you will always have to face some risks that the project will fail. And this is okay, because if you don't insert any or indicate any obstacles, then it doesn't have the innovation potential the European Commission is looking for. So my tip here is be honest and indicate what could come to you in the project that might maybe not make you fail, but will cause problems. And in the same minute, state how you will mitigate this upcoming obstacles, so that you think already in the application phase that if this or that problem comes to us during the project duration, then we will have this and that activity to solve it. And then you can indicate how severe the obstacle would be if it really becomes real. And so this is nothing you should hide in a proposal. But the more you are prepared and the more you show that you are prepared for some upcoming problems, the more credible you are for the evaluators. Yeah, here's some examples for potential barriers, especially when it comes to health and medical projects. It's often a question of regulatories that you might face unplanned. And for example, some mitigation measure could be that you will, in this case, bring aboard some experts, some regulatory compliance experts, who will then advise you on this and that regulatory issue, for example. Second slide of impact. One part of the impact chapter is also dissemination, communication, and exploitation. So the European Union wants you to communicate your project, to show it, to be present in social media, on the web, and to really announce your achievements and all you are doing in the project, and how you want to do it. The measures of communication, of dissemination, is what you have to state in a draft plan already in the proposal. And if you are selected for funding, then you have 6 months, the first 6 months of the project, where you can then get a bit deeper into the communication measures, in which journal you want to be part of, which channels you want to use to reach your target group. So some examples must be also part in the proposal, and then the very elaborated plan will be submitted in the first 6 months of the project. Also, IPR management is a topic when it comes to exploitation. Of course, the European Union, as I said, wants you to make effects and wants to make use of your project results and how you want to use them. If you want to patent them, for example, if you want to license them, whatever, this is also something you have to declare in the impact section. And here the intellectual property rights, so how you want to protect your findings, is also something that finds you in the impact section. And as I said, we will have here another training in October on intellectual property right, where my colleague Udo will show you how you can search patents on your own, to get an idea on what is already protected in your field of business. And this result of such a patent search can then, for example, be inserted in this application, so that the evaluator sees that you made an effort here to see how you can protect and use your results in the way you want to after the project ends. Yes, then what evaluators criticize. the communication and dissemination is mixed up or is the same text. So that's true. It's not that easy to differ communication from dissemination. Communication is or are the measures you in a project use to make all the citizens, the public, know your project. So that's not dedicated to a special target group. This is, for example, that every European project has to have a website. So this is not dedicated, but there you find all the information. This is a communication measure, for example. And then you have dissemination. These are activities, communication activities targeted to a special group. For example, when you are part of a specific conference, then the scientific community of this conference is your target group. So here dissemination is more channeled to a specific target group and is really about informing of your project results, not of the project in general, but really to find target groups that are interested in your results and maybe to come up on them and want to exploit them. And here it's about results, and often in the proposal this is mixed up or is copy paste, and this is a pity then, because this is for sure a thing that won't make you succeed if you don't in advance think a little bit of what's your target group and how you can reach them. Yeah, then the second point, target groups are not adequately identified. You can't reach your target group if you don't know who your target group is. And they are often also broader than it seems on the first sight. So your target group can, of course, be the industry, for example, can be hospitals, can be some business partners, but your target group can also be the users, can also be policymakers, for example, if you want to make a difference in policy making with your project results. So here it's really about thinking broad, who you want to reach with your project results and how you can involve them in your project by making stakeholder events, for example, by making workshops with end users to get feedback on the beta version, for example, that they can test it and try it. So this is always something evaluators see, like seeing, like reading, when you make effort, because it's not easy, to involve citizens, users, patients in your project already in the development phase. Yeah, copy paste I already addressed, not a good idea. Also not only copy paste in the same proposal, also copy paste from a previous proposal, so that you just insert the same content for example, 3 applications you submit for the same call. They will find out. Then activities aren't appropriate to the project scale. That's often an issue in impact. So that you, for example, make too much effort on communication, dissemination, compared to the dimension of your project. That this covers, for example, too much budget, or that you make you foresee to few activities, because as I said, you are not supposed to hide your project and to develop in the chambers. So the European Union really wants you on the stage, and that the emblem of the European Union and the funding logo is everywhere where the public money contributes to developments. Then actions not considered in budget or work plan. This is the consistency issue. As I said, the red thread, often a thing that you promise this and that, and then there is no money foreseen in the project for this task. That's not credible. Then if you, for example, say there are 3 whatever conferences or fairs, you will be present with a speaker and a workshop, and then you don't have any budget reserved for this. So this is something you have to keep in mind, that everything is considered also in the budget and in the work plan. And last but not least, focus on media before message. Yes, it's great if you already know in the proposal which journals, which conferences, which channels like radio, TV. There you are absolutely free of thinking how you can announce your project results. This is great if you know before your medias, but don't forget the message. Don't forget that you pick the right message for the target group you want to receive, you want to reach. So it's about language. It's about how you can meet them, and that this is a well thought through approach. So these are some comments and statements of evaluators of the last Horizon 2020 evaluation processes. Then, last chapter before we come to the group exercise is implementation. I will keep it short because I already said most of the things displayed here. In implementation, it's about your work plan. So you have to structure your project in certain work packages. So say that the project management is one work package that really dures from the first month until project end. Then you have a second work package for software development, then a third work package for software validation, testing, improvement. So by viewing your work plan, your work packages, the evaluator should get an idea what you want to do in the project. And I am also an evaluator in Horizon projects, in Eureka projects. And what I do personally is I start with the work plan to get a first idea of the project, what should be done. And then I have this basic information and this basic idea of the project, and then I start with the texts and description of excellence and impact. So this is very useful, this prescribed structure of the work plan, because it's not only text, and you see in tables very structured what the project will be about. Then deliverables. Deliverables are messages you as a project consortium give every now and then to the European Commission on very important, I would say, points in the project where you say the first result is achieved, and then you, for example, a deliverable could be the prototype, or a guideline you developed, or a publication of the first results of your development. So some kind of interim results, I would say. These are deliverables, and every now and then in your project, you give the European Union some of these interim results that you can show that you are on track. What in terms of time, and also in terms of content already realized. Milestones are something, as you know, from project management, that already in the development phase of a project, you say that in month 12 or after 2 years, we want to have achieved this and that. And some practical hint here is that more or less 2 to 4 milestones per project year is a good number, so that you are not blocked only with reporting milestones, so that they are not too many, but also to every now and then can check on some milestone points if you are still on track with your project implementation. Critical risk, very similar to the obstacles and borders in the impact section. Then here the yellow box shows you that in the implementation chapter, you also have to declare the budget. So estimation, of course, but a realistic estimation of the person months you will need in every work package to achieve the results. So how many persons for how many months you will need in the certain work packages to realize the results, and also the costs, as I said, for example, for subcontracting if you need others than the partners to fulfill some tasks. And then the last box is participants. So it's very important to show the evaluators that the consortium as a whole has the qualification to implement the project. So, for example, that all the expertise that is needed for the project, and as I said, you really should cover multiple disciplines, that all this can be found in your consortium. And one practical tip here is develop a skills matrix. A matrix is, as I said, very structured, and with one side you can see here on the left the certain partners, and above the certain technology fields, for example, and by crossing you can show that as a whole the consortium covers everything, every knowledge that is necessary to be successful in the project. Include all stakeholders, as I already said. Think of end users, policymakers, other actors that are somehow involved in your project topic. And secure intentions with a letter of interest, for example. Yes. So in your consortium, you have the partners, but you can also have other entities, other experts, for example, who will work with you in the project, but not with the status as a partner. I, for example, have at the moment a project where a business incubator is part of a project and gives their practical knowledge on the concerns of startups. But this business incubator is not a real partner in the project, but with a letter of interest, this incubator declared already in the proposal phase that he will deliver this expertise in the project as, for example, part of an advisory board. And that you can really secure this third-party involvement already in the application phase. Make sure that you have some kind of course, not contract, but some kind of paper, letter you can refer to when the project starts and when you then need these parties for your project implementation. Okay. Good. So this would be it from my side regarding excellence, impact, and implementation. Not so short theoretical insight into what you should pay attention to when you are really in the place of developing such a proposal. And if you don't have questions at the moment, I would suggest to start with the practical exercise. Therefore, I invite you to join me on the concept board now. I will insert the link in the MS Teams chat now, and then you can access the board. So you should have it here now. And I have here some kind of a little guide how you can manage to join me. So click on the MS Teams chat link, select the guest account, type in your name, and then here with the hand in the toolbar above, you can navigate through the certain chapters on the board. And the exercise will be that on the right, you have here different groups with different exercises. I will now, let me have a look. Will now put you participants in certain groups on MS Teams, and whether you are then group A or group B or group C, please find your section on the board and start, and I will show you this here now, start to assign the certain post-its to the section where you think that it belongs to. So we have here post-its that belong to excellence, to impact, to implementation, and then we have also some post-its who are bad examples or simply wrong, and then please put them here. And in which group you belong, I will show you now. Unfortunately, I have to do it live because it's not possible to prepare this in advance. So now you should see my MS Teams and how I assign which participants to which group. One moment.
Yes, we can see it. It works.
Thanks. Good. So I have Washa, Julia, and Elena, and I assign you to group A. So please find yourself then on the concept board A. And then I have Miguel, Sophia, Manolo, and the second Miguel. And please find yourself in group B. So I will start now the rooms. You have 15 minutes to assign the post-its to the section you think that it's correct. And after 15 minutes, you will be brought back to this main room. So good luck and have fun with the exercise. Welcome back.
Thank you.
So everybody is back as far as I see. Great. I hope you liked it. To be a little bit practical. And what I will do now is to some kind of disclose the exercise solution. So we will look into the excellence part. Support overall EU destinations is something that is done in the excellence part, as I said. If you dig a little bit into the background documents of the European Union, so where this call comes from, which bigger goal the Commission wants to solve with your project, then link these bigger goals with your project goals in the excellence part. Show the objectives of your proposed work is also something for the first section in part B. Introduce the novel concept to solve this challenge, to contribute to the overall goal is something you state in the excellence part. To provide open access to your research output is something, if you want to do this, then state it in the excellence part. And also that you work with your partners across different scientific disciplines is something for this section. And some sentences that could be part of the excellence section are, for example, the project will contribute to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So I would really recommend you to have a look on the Sustainable Development Goals and to discover which ones are linked to your project and to state this linkage to show that your project has this bigger impact on real world problems. Then the project integrates key results of the Interact project VLO. This is what I addressed before, that if there are projects you were involved in or are involved in that has the same topic, then state it, because by doing so you show that you are qualified to also realize the project you are applying for. And also data of every sex and age will be used to train the AI could be such a sentence. This addresses the gender topic, which is also part of the excellence section. Then we have impact, show that your research effects are contributing to EU competitiveness, to growth. They, for example, generate new jobs would be such a impact you could state in that section. Then put facts and figures. As I said, this could be an example: 20% reduction of doctor's appointment on site if, for example, the hospital uses your app and makes patients treated remote, then they don't have to see the doctor that often. Could be some impact. Make commercial use of your findings. This goes a little bit into the exploitation topic. Radio interviews, promotions on social media or in journals is also an impact. Dissemination, communication activity you could state in your proposal. So these are just some examples of measures you possibly include in your project. Personal care companies represent another target group. Yes, target groups is also something for the impact chapter. Or co-creation workshops. This is a very valuable tool in your project if you have such co-creation workshops. This means that you can involve citizens, the public users by such, I would say, interactive workshops where you want to gain feedback from customers, for example, and also national policymakers, international policymakers can be included in stakeholder meetings. So these are also examples for how to gain impact on your project. Implementation. Structure your project in work packages and tasks. You can really put into your proposal some kind of organogram where you have the work packages on top and then some subtasks to show how you want to organize your project work. Then the critical risks and how you want to react on them is something for the implementation task. And also, as I said, tables regarding the budget, the person months is something for this section. And here's some examples. As I said, work packages for project management and also a work package for communication and dissemination are very useful to have in every project. Whether it's a health project, whether it's a mobility project. So this two administrative, I would say, tasks of managing and communicating is something you should consider in every project with a certain work package. Then month 18, first implementation of business intelligence platform. This is a milestone. As we had previously to say already in the proposal that 1.5 years after project start, you want to have your platform ready for implementation. And the algorithms will be ready for testing in month 12 would be another example of a milestone. So an interim project result. And that we also have some bad and wrong examples should help you to some kind of get an idea what should not be part of your application. So focus on excellence only to convince the evaluators. No, as I said, excellence of course is important, but it's not only about having the most excellent idea. It's also about showing the effects of this idea in the real world. Then performing ethics self-assessment in the implementation chapter. This is wrong because the ethics self-assessment is part of the first section, part A, with the administrative forms. So there you have to declare your ethics approach and not in the narrative part B. Then the exploitation will incorporate potentia and Gertie-Rinsens. This is an example of being too technical in your language. So this is also something you have to consider, that the evaluators come from various disciplines and don't have to be necessary technical experts in your field. So keep in mind that the proposal is not a scientific paper, and make sure that you choose the right balance between technical language and understandable texts. Then after project ends, some distributors in Austria will use the app. This is a bad example because it's too generic. So there are no facts, no figures, and this is simply not detailed enough. As the majority of patients are men, the consortium studies the disorder primarily on male subjects. This would not be gender confirmed and therefore is a bad example. Of course, you have to consider all sex for your testing and your project validation. Then the Gantt chart is displayed on page 75. No, because the proposal template consists of 30 or at maximum 45 pages. So there is no page 75 in a proposal template. And last but not least, a concrete timeline with milestones will be elaborated after project start in deliverable 2.2 in month 6. No, because a concrete timeline has to be already part of your implementation chapter in the proposal, and to deliver it during the project would be too late. So this is kind of the solution of the exercise. And now, as my last page, some take-home messages for you. Pay attention to the background documents, very important. You should know why the European Union opened this call, and then you can address the expected outcomes with your project content and show the links. Then get to know the portal, as I showed you today, get to know the templates previously, get to know the rules, so that you are really prepared and know about what comes to you when you start proposal development. Begin early enough to have enough time for the red thread throughout your proposal. So I really recommend to begin 4 to 6 months before the call deadline, to have enough time to distribute the tasks and to elaborate a consistent application. And another practical hint, it's very useful if you select one person who is responsible for the application. So really from the abstract, from the first description of your project idea, over the development of the proposal until the submission. Of course, there need to be more persons to have all the expertise collected to develop such a proposal, but choose one person who is responsible to remind the partners. We need that contact to set deadlines, to really be able to meet the deadline to submit your proposal on time. Then ensure comprehensible language. As I said, evaluators come from different disciplines. It's no scientific paper. Be sure that your wording is not too technical. Explain abbreviations if you have some in your proposal, so that the evaluators really understand you when first reading your proposal. You don't want to raise questions. You want to provide answers with your proposal. And then it sounds very simple, I know, but it's so effective to structure your application by highlighting. So use text boxes, use colors in your application, graphics. We all know this when we have long papers or very long handbooks full of text. Nobody wants to read this. So make an effort to structure it with subtitles, with different pictures, in order to attract attention with your proposal and make the evaluators find out more and want to read more in your proposal, and not that after 3 or 4 pages they are bored because it's only text. This is simple but effective. Yes, and that's it basically. So last message from my side. The proposal is your only communication medium with the evaluator. So no further links are valid. So if you put links in your proposal, the evaluators are restricted from following them. So everything that is not in your application doesn't exist for the evaluator. This is also something you need to know. The page limits for the proposals were highly reduced from the previous Horizon 2020 to Horizon Europe. And this is because evaluators want you to bring your message on the point. Good. So now it's 11:32 and we are at the end of our training today. As you see, there are some slides left and I will send you in the afternoon the whole concept board as a PDF, and then you can, if you want, have a look on the remaining slides. For example, here, my tip: if you want to switch sides from the applicant to the evaluator, this is possible because the European Union always looks for evaluators. So you can, by clicking this link, get on the EU portal and register yourself and as an expert and declare interest that you want to be part of the evaluation process of upcoming calls. So you can have the other perspective, not as an applicant, but as an evaluator, and get to know the whole procedure, the whole scoring system. So of course, this needs a bit more additional time, but can be very worth it to get these insights as an evaluator. Just one tip from my side. Here you have some upcoming events. As I already mentioned in the invitation email, tomorrow will be an information day from the European Union on Cluster 1, on the upcoming health calls, via where representatives of the European Commission will present you the calls and everything that is upcoming in the next 2 years regarding health in Horizon Europe. And next week on Monday, you have a brokerage event. So there, all organizations that are interested in being part of a consortium in a health proposal in Horizon Europe in the next 1-2 years will be there. And you could use, if you want and have time, this opportunity to get to know organizations who could be potential partners for your project. And here, this would be a wish from my side at the end to just give me a little feedback on today's training. Of course, I always want to keep things that were valuable for you and to improve for further trainings. So these are just 4 questions, and I would ask you to click the link. I will also post it in the chat now.
Karina, excuse me, there is one question in chat.
Okay.
Maybe you may have a look at.
Do we need to have in place the infrastructure for the co-creation workshops, or can we say that we plan on realizing it under the scope of the proposal? I don't really know what you mean, so maybe you could put on your microphone and explain it a little bit more in detail.
Hi.
Hi.
So I was wondering, so this was during the co-creation workshops, and it was suggested that those can be of added value to our proposal. And I was wondering, even though our intention is to include patients and users, is this something that we need to have in place, like trainings and workshops before the proposal? Or can we say it that once we have gotten this proposal, we can put these in place as well?
Yes, so co-creation workshops are something you can implement during your project to say that we have now some prototype, we want some feedback from the patients, and therefore we organize some workshops online or on site. This is nothing you have to do in the preparation phase, and you can also declare costs on them.
Clear, thank you.
Okay, good. So now the Mentimeter link follows in the chat. And I would really appreciate if you take another 2 minutes to give me some feedback on today's training. thanks for the positive feedback. I'm happy if it was valuable for you and that you can take home now some information you can really apply afterwards in your further innovation activities. Good. Thanks a lot. Here, just a short announcement. There will follow additional workshops within the DIGI-B-CUBE project. So in September, by the end of September, there will be a workshop on funding opportunities in Europe and also how to identify potential partners for your project. This training will be hosted by our Portuguese colleagues, and at the beginning of September, you will receive again a mail invitation, and my colleague Udo, who is also with us today, will implement in October a practical workshop on how to search patterns on your own with a free search tool called Ispasnet, so that you don't need any consultants and can do it on your own. And here, your national contact points, if you don't know them already, you have the opportunity to, again, on the EU portal, search for contact points in your country who can give you further advice on Horizon Europe calls, application procedures, all that we have talked about today. And on the portal, if you select here your country, and then the specific topic you're interested in, for example, health, then the results here show you who your contact person is in your respective country. So, for example, in Austria, Astrid Höberts is the national contact point for Cluster 1 Health in Horizon Europe, and you can directly contact her in the Austrian case or your respective contact person in your country for further advice. And the European network EN is also something that could be of interest for you if you search for potential partners, because they have some kind of marketplace available where companies insert when they are looking for partners to join their consortium, or also you as an organization can place here an article in that marketplace and say what your field of expertise is and what you could provide in an EU project, and then you can be found from other partners who are preparing for project application. So this is also very useful if you don't have your partners in your network available already. Yeah, and then it's time to say thank you. It was very much fun for me, as always, and I hope also you are satisfied with what you heard today. And I placed here my mail address, so if any questions come up afterwards, please just get in touch with me, and we will be able to have the chance to discuss something also after the training today. I will, as I said, provide you the PDF as a mail in the afternoon, and then you can search for details also in the next days. Thank you. Have a nice lunch now, and a nice rest of the day. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.